Good evening, Infin8 Capital community. This is Jason and Suman here for our next amazing podcast. Today we're talking to Jasmine and Harish, amazing couple here that, I don't want to spoil any surprises, has an amazing story to share with everybody. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Suman to start the podcast.
Thank you, Jason, and good evening, everyone, and good evening to our lovely guest, Jasmine and Harish.
Hi, guys.
Welcome to the podcast. So Jasmine and Harish, why don't you do the honors by telling the audience a little bit about you, where you are based and what something that you like to share with your audience.
We can start with our origin story. Every hero has an origin story, I guess.
Yes,
Definitely heroes, superheroes.
definitely, yes.
Um, well, I came to Canada in 2000 as an international student. I was studying at McGill and I completed my graduate studies there. Once that was done, I decided to sort of step into the give your time for money life and took on a job. I've been with my job for quite a while right now, and there was always that background intuition that perhaps I could be doing something a bit more engaging in terms of determining my future. So at the time, we had started thinking about stepping into the real estate world to try and sort of, take those steps towards securing our requirements. So that started out as the impetus. Like, I didn't want to depend on anyone else to look after me in my old age. I wanted to be self-sufficient. And having seen my parents who have been real estate investors for quite some time, they are finding that their retirement is completely funded by their investments at this point, and they're having a pretty good retirement at this point. So that was sort of a goal for me as well. If they can do it, I can do it, that sort of a thing. And yeah, we basically decided to get married. Harish moved here a couple of years later. And we decided
quite a few years
later. And we bought our first private residence, a very simple, small townhome. And we were really, really happy that we got our foot onto the real estate ladder.
Hey, wait, don't jump ahead. So let me give a little bit about my background. I come from the exact opposite background from hers.
Yeah.
We grew up in the same country, and I come from a business background. So father in business, grandfather in business, and a lot of real estate investments and a lot of real estate investment mistakes.
Okay.
So I've seen that side of it. And after getting married to her, I saw my father-in-law having been in a job all his life, make excellent real estate choices. That's where I started getting engaged. Okay, it can be done. Just till then, I was only seeing the failures.
Right.
And yeah, that's where my switch comes in. I was completely different from her. My mindset was, I don't want to get into that because I've only seen the mess ups happen there.
And I do find that a lot of folks, the mess ups actually hit home to your heart, like and yourself, more so than the successes, because successes are successes. But I'm assuming that Harish, of course, congratulations on your origin story. It's amazing. But meeting Jasmine and getting through this journey, I'm glad you turned around, and now you're on this path.
Well, you need to see some successes to, start looking at it positively.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And
I
when
know
you
that's
say
true, right? Like, I think the biggest issue we had starting out, even buying our first home, even though it was not an investment property, it was our own personal residence, the biggest thing was the fear, right? Like, will we be able to manage this? Will we be able to make the mortgage payments, interest rates, housing crisis, blah, 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 blah. And this was a long time ago when we bought our first property. It was, I think, in 2011. So things were quite favorable at that time, and we were still really scared. Me having seen the successes on my parents' behalf, him having seen the not so successful real estate investments on his parents' behalf, we kind of fed into each other's fears, right? Like, but we decided to take that step, shaky leg on the ladder, and we started climbing. And then life happened. We had our two wonderful children come along, and then everything went to schools and daycares. So we didn't really have that, excess cash flow that we would have liked to have to be able to invest further. But then the kids grew up slightly. They started going to school, and we were like, okay, we have a little bit of cash saved up. Maybe we should get an investment property. And at that time, we were super scared as well because everybody was like, oh, we've had this 10, 11-year bull run in the market with low interest rates. Everything's going to hit the fan and we won't be able to manage it, blah, blah, blah. So there was that fear again, right? Like that crazy fear. Will we be able to do this? And then it actually took my dad twisting our arms a little bit to try and say, I'm here. I'll catch you. I'll help you. So we decided to take that second step up that ladder and decided to buy our first investment property.
And a little later, the second investment property.
And then it just got a little.
Wait, which market? Which market?
Yeah, which market?
We're in Ottawa, and all our purchases so far were in Ottawa. So we currently have the 4 units here in Ottawa.
Nice.
In our real estate portfolio, and we were like, okay, that's great.
The mindset was, I should be able to go there, I should be able to touch my property, I should be able to see it. That whole, that fear a lot of people have, that out of sight, it's more scary.
More scary, right?
Yeah.
Right. So few things that I'm uncovering from your journey so far, and thanks for sharing, is one thing is you both, like when I say you both, you are a team, right? So right now, what was happening is you were leveraging the failures, learning from those what Harish have gone through, maybe not directly real estate, but still, it's a business, and you uncovered those. There were some successes that you had, Jasmine, in life and business in general. So what was the biggest, one or two biggest, fears or failures that led you to, move into the success part? Like, what was one fear which was keeping you away, and what was one success which led said, okay, you know what, I need to pivot? And maybe Harish, you can answer.
Well, let's put it this way. After we bought the first one, the fear reduced. When we got the second one, it was like, yeah, okay, now let's just figure out how we get the third one.
Right.
The third one, we were like, okay, we don't have any more money now. Now we need to find a different way.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
pivoting
I
as
think
the strategy accordingly, right? Like what used to fear you before, now it doesn't scare you. Like for me also, same thing happened. Like first $60,000, like when I was doing for primary, one of the check amount was 60,000. Even those were nightmares, and then that became an ordinary thing in the real estate. So I can
I'm
relate.
talking about the first one being of 15,000, which was scary.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
It was.
It's all
And I
becomes
think
relative right now.
Exactly. It's relative and it's all about the mindset, right? Like our thinking was, oh, we've taken such a long time to put together this little nest egg, and we're going to gamble with it because who knows what's going to happen if we put it into real estate. I was the sort of person who wanted a capital guaranteed investment. So up until then, all my generational, investments, if you will, were essentially in GICs, right?
GICs.
And then I was like a core GIC believer, right? Like
I used to be a currency trader when I was in Dubai.
Oh, wow.
Online currency trader.
Yeah.
So one person is all like secured, like, less return is okay. Another person is like, okay, I'm like high risk, high reward kind of thing.
Exactly. So our risk mindsets hadn't quite meshed and blended. So there were a few differences when we started on this journey, but I think we've begun to sort of, pull them together. And I think the biggest change came when COVID hit. We had just bought our third property, and we were like, we're running out of money. The banks are not going to loan to us anymore. We need to change our strategy. We've hit that financing wall. We need to do something different. Okay, that's great. What can we do that's different? Well, we were seeing a lot of people on social media and within some of our friends who were actively investing in real estate. And we went out and talked to them, and we realized that if we wanted to do this as a sustainable business, we needed to get some mentorship and some coaching learn the basics, have our foundations set first, and then sort of grow from there. Because it's easy enough to go there in the residential space and buy different townhomes or single homes, but when it comes to things like commercial mortgages, the landscape's very different, right?
Right.
So we decided to go into a coaching program, and we took our first coaching program and got all the basics in place. And while we were in the program, we got an opportunity to be a part of a joint venture, and then another. So we went into two joint ventures with some of our friends, family, and
Amazing.
people that we knew. And we went out west to Edmonton and
Yeah.
bought a whole bunch of duplexes.
Awesome.
We got 21 duplexes, so that's 42 doors.
Amazing.
We're like, you know,
Did I hear that? Sorry, did I hear that right? 21,
21
Did I hear that?
duplexes. That's right.
Amazing.
So let me throw in one little more point out there. We've never been to Edmonton.
Yeah, this was
Amazing.
distance investing. So we decided go big or go home.
You have to come with us. We're gonna go visit all your 21 townhouses when you go. So
Yes, I mean that would be amazing for sure. And
Wow.
and the best things that I'm uncovering is, overcoming the fear. Like too much many people, like they don't realize that their bad habits or being on the side is not going to save them, from things, because even if they stay constant, the other dynamics which are not in our control, like government policies, inflation, expenses, rising costs, right? Those are not. So if we are not pivoting to find out more income generation opportunities or more investing opportunities, learning, investing ourselves, building connections, even though the person is thinking they're safe, like, let's say some people think keeping it in the savings account, no, my money is safe, but eventually you are still losing the value, right? So one good thing that you did, you were constantly moving forward, and then when you were stuck, you were saying, rather than losing it out or saying, oh, this is the end of the world, you're like, okay, what is the next thing you want to do, and who all can help me, and what education I need to do. So I think that's where things are there. So how, in the multifamily space, like you have done residential and now you're moving into the commercial space, what are some of the key differences that you see, and maybe Harish, if you want, like, what is the advantages you're seeing, or what was the reason you are now moving into the commercial multifamily side?
Well, one of the biggest things that hit me was the fact that, like, this is from my point of view. She's the one who does a lot of the technical analysis and stuff. But for me, it was the biggest thing is you have a townhouse. Tomorrow the person leaves. Vacancy. That's 100% vacancy. That's like the biggest thing for me. You have a duplex. One unit is empty. That's 50% vacancy.
Right.
But if I have a 20 unit, I have one empty. That's 5% vacancy. So I can still carry the entire thing, even with that one being empty the entire year.
Exactly.
So
That's
like
the biggest
thing for me.
Right. And people, and this is where we are trying to condition for people's mind, is that, okay, you start off with the residential, which is good. Like, don't get me wrong, but those are good too. But then there are pros and cons of different asset types, and you are right. Like, I can feel the pain point of Harish, because I have one duplex and one single family in my portfolio. What happens is, here, when the tenant goes down, like, it's a full replacement, like 100% vacancy, as Harish rightly said. And the worst part is, sometimes even if it's 100% occupied, because of the phantom cost of mortgage and all, that income is not supporting. So even though it's 100% occupied, you're still negatively cash flowing, right? And it's very heavily on your debt income. So
absolutely. And one of the other things that was sort of one of our considerations, especially with going to Alberta and Edmonton, is the Alberta advantage, right? Like, there's lesser in terms of taxes, there's lesser in terms of issues with tenant landlord relations and their education at the landlord tenant board. So some of those landlord favorable environments is what drew us to Alberta as well. And now our goal is basically to go even bigger in the multifamily space, moving from duplexes to apartment buildings. And we're trying to sort of settle into the niche of medium-sized apartment buildings, anything from 12 to 15 units and above until about 50 units. In the long run, hopefully, our goal is to go even bigger and to go into the larger multifamily space, which is like 100 units and above. And we're slowly working our way there, right? Like, so we discovered that real estate is not a get-rich scheme, right? You have to work your way to it. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're taking one step up that ladder every time we go forward.
Amazing. Yeah, I was going to ask a question though. And by the way, the ability to self-reflect for both of you is amazing. I think that's a skill in itself, and kudos to that. One thing I wanted to ask is, you talked about being able to drive to your properties before. I know with all the facts and figures and the benefits of Alberta, it's there after doing market research, but you still got that emotional connection or need to touch a property. So I'm very impressed that both of you have yet to be to Edmonton, but you have such a large portfolio. Like for me, I had to fly out there to confirm a couple apartment buildings. I had to touch the apartment building and say, I'm going to close this one, right? So I want to ask you guys, how did you get around that sort of need to drive there for these investments in Alberta?
So two things. One, Google Maps and Google Street View. It gives you the feeling of being there. So we Google Street Viewed everything we could find in the location. So it was practically like being there. I mean, at least it gave us a mental image of what everything looked like. The second thing is our JV partners. We have so much trust between the group in terms of what we're doing. We have someone on the group who's actually our boots on the ground in Alberta. He's the one who sort of drives by, and once a year, the person who's managing the project flies down, they take pictures, they do walkarounds. So we're always getting those updates, right? So within the JV group, if anyone's going down to Edmonton at one point, they'll drive by the property, take snapshots, take a little video. So there's always that little connection. It's not out of sight, out of mind. We're actively aware of what's going on. And then within the JV partnership, we have semi-annual meetings where we're given sort of updates on the financials, what the property is doing, whether we need to make some capital changes, put in some more capital expenses, put up a fence, put up a deck, that sort of thing. So we're still kind of actively involved in managing the property. So I think that takes away a lot of the fear, because you have the perception, I guess, of a certain degree of control. And I think that's really important, at least to a person like me. I'm not the person who can like sleep without looking at something. So for me, it's really important that, I get those ongoing updates and that trust in the people that you're working with, because I think that's what makes the JV work. Like, we're 2 years into it now, and knock on wood, we've not had a problem so far.
Yeah, don't even have to think about it. I think it's all about having the team there.
Yeah.
Irrespective, like whether it's your property manager, whether it's, whoever you're working with, if you have a good team, it doesn't matter. And that, I think, the biggest difference going from the single family and the duplexes going into multifamily is that you're not going to be working alone. You're not going to be doing it alone. Yeah, there are some people who manage to do it alone, but it's just easier to do it with other people.
Right. And it's scalable.
And you work as a team. And everyone takes on a task, and it's just easier.
Yeah, our motto is that multifamily is a team sport. Play
it eventually, you're right. Like, people always are looking for quick, but there's like, you have to do for those quick money, a lot of transactions, and you're playing it a very small window, right? And if it doesn't execute, it starts, like become like a hot potato. Whereas in the multis, it can handle a lot of stress, because it's more for a long-term time frame, and once you stabilize it, it kind of rolls it on its own, right?
Exactly.
So how, and to audience, Jasmine and Harish, they are part of our Infin8 community as well. So what were some of the key things, before taking that consideration for the Infin8, right? And afterwards, what were some of the things, that you would like to share with the audience?
I mean, I could go first, and for my perspective, we've coached with a couple of different teams and a couple of different persons everyone brought their own perspective to it, and everyone helped us grow. The knowledge component was so good. What drew us most to Infin8 was one, the accessibility, the two, and second was the community. I found that Infin8 has a really good, solid community structure where people are always engaging, interacting, talking to each other, sharing information. And I found that maybe that was perhaps a little lacking in some of the other coaching programs that we've done. So for us, the biggest bonus was the people, really. And a lot of it also comes down to the programming that you have in Infin8. So the basics are obviously all the same, but it's how you're taught that, how you interact, and some really engaging things like the real estate, the challenge that we had a couple of weeks ago with regard to, figuring out how you would underwrite a property, how would you offer for a property. Those kind of interactive pieces really brings everything together. So we just find that that's, your USP at Infin8. And we're so proud to be in that community because it doesn't feel like, oh, we're the junior members or we don't know anything. Everyone is so helpful that you feel like everyone's taking you along with them and you don't feel alone. You have a question, boom, go in there, ask somebody or that gives a response.
No, I think those were really valuable. And I know you are right, because at Infin8, we believe like we don't treat differently. Like there's no kind of interview where, like, okay, if you are having 50 plus doors, you are going to be treated special. No, everyone, like we have members who are just starting out. There are some people who are very advanced, but they are stuck and they need some advanced help from Jason and in terms of deal structuring, creative side. But yes, you are right. Like we want to treat equally, and we don't look at based on your portfolio or net worth. And do you want to elaborate? You touched some great points, and because some people, those who are not part of Infin8, you talked about accessibility. So would you want to elaborate on what do you mean by that, and how it's different?
I can speak on
maybe
that
Harish.
part.
Please
I'm
go ahead.
usually the one who is not very active in these programs. I think you noticed that right in the beginning too, when I joined Infin8. The first 2-3 times, I don't think you guys even knew I was on the class.
Yes, but I think I heard from you at one of our Q&As, though, Harish, at the first class.
So. But it was the first time I was listening to the class. I had a conversation with Jason afterwards. I think after one of the classes, and we spoke almost half an hour, 45 minutes. And it's something I've not experienced in any other coaching class, where you guys actually put in that time to explain or discuss anything that's needed. This doesn't happen in other classes. And the other thing was, it was so interactive and so engaging that I'm usually not one to sit in classes like that. I get bored out of my skull. But it was very engaging, very interesting. This is the only group where I've actually talked to practically every single Infin8 member at some point or the other.
That's amazing.
Multiple times.
And I wanted to say that it's also congratulations to both of you, the energy.
Yes.
So you guys as well. I mean, the community certainly appreciate your comments, but it's also both of you as a couple, as these heroes that you are, that are actually adding and bringing that energy to the community. I can safely say, Suman and I agree that both of you are a power couple in our community. So I want to thank you guys to that as well, because you guys are also adding, because whatever you put out, you get that 10 times back, right? So
yes, and I just want to share about you both. Like we have that multifamily accelerator weeks, right? So I always used to see you among with other Infin8 community members. Like you're sharing, like, okay, let's say the topic was about real estate cycle, market research. I always see that, okay, you guys are sharing. So what happens is people, those who are givers, they get much more exponentially, right? And that's the piece we want to highlight to our community, that in this industry, people with whom you will be interacting, like, don't come in as someone who is just looking at taking, especially in the first few things. And that's where it starts getting differentiated. The first thing is we see the mindset. Whenever you're talking to people, you will see the common pattern, like people will be stuck. Like for example, in your case, you got stuck and you were more solution oriented. Like, okay, now from primary, now we are hitting the okay commercial side now, but we need that support. So you were part of few others where you were not getting that accessibility. So it's your credit, and this is the kind of things that we encourage people, that if you are stuck somewhere, just look at, are you what is the next solution. Like Jason and I, we go through a lot of challenges in every deal, but Jason always stresses me to think like, okay, what's the solution, right? We have to focus on that, because if you freak out, there is no point. So, I mean, big shout out to you both, and especially Harish. Like, Harish is our measuring criteria of how well we are doing in Infinite, because if he's coming and he's coming, that's a success story for us.
Yes.
No, for
Absolutely.
sure, man, for sure.
Absolutely. I was going to say that, as part of our mantra, right, we're all about being humble and honest in our mission to help everybody and support the community. And I appreciate the comments around our support. And it comes from the heart and the honest intention and motivation to support the community as much as we can, folks. So Suman and I versus other programs are, if we're not known, we just have some success that we're trying to share and grow together with the community. And that's it, right?
Absolutely.
And we hope that the community understands, and a great appreciation for you guys too to mention that too, because hey, we're just like you. Everybody's the same, even if you're in your first deal or your amazing duplexes. Now I got to write this down, Suman. Duplex tour, right? That's going to do in Edmonton.
And this is what happens, like you mentioned another point about community, like
Yeah.
people, and I know that, you guys also are forming some good collaborations within the Infinite, like where you did
Absolutely.
not even meet them before, right?
Yes.
So
And
importance of,
that's the beauty of being in this community, is the fact that even though these are people we have never met in person, these
Yeah.
are people that we have collaborated with, people we have identical mindsets with. So it's really good to come together. And as I mentioned before, multifamily is a team sport. Well, we found our team in Infinite, like we were able to come together and look at opportunities, not just as Harish and Jasmine, one person with X amount of, uh, credit or financing support, but we were able to bring others together, and we were able to integrate with a few members of Infinite and start our own sort of investing group where we're jointly looking at opportunities in Edmonton and Ottawa, in Saskatoon, and we're trying to bring people along. And one of our biggest hope is that when we are able to get a really good opportunity, that we would be able to bring it to the other members of the Infinite group as well, just so they are being able to take part in it and participate in it. So our hope is to be able to make this advantageous, not just for the four of us who are joining up right now, but for the whole group at large.
exactly. And that's how you scale.
Absolutely. I was going to say, yeah. And I want to share just a personal story. So I know that the group that you're forming, it's so amazing. 7 days a week, anytime you guys are working on. It's amazing, the dedication, folks. And
Yes.
the members of your group, without saying any names though, I'm amazed at the diversity. You've got a person that's just starting out, right?
Just starting.
The superhero couple that a lot of experience, and you've got another person that's kind of trying to find their way, right? And it's amazing that you can bring together that single goal and work towards it, because I think that's what our community is all about. One of the things is finding this people with similar vibes. I'm going to use Suman saying similar vibes, right?
Yes.
That you connect with, not only on a sort of like a numbers level or just even a directional level, but just the energy, right? And I think it's amazing that you found it, because ever since we started Infin8 Capital, which is from today's date, probably 3.5 months ago, we have about 4 JV groups starting who all message us and ask for support and growing. And it's amazing. I would have to say that you guys are one of the first, though. So congratulations on that. It's amazing.
Yes. And the best part is, and credit goes to you also, that because in terms of, we can give all the things, but if you were not having the right mindset to learn, if you did not have the mindset to put efforts and ask the questions, you wouldn't have been where you are going, right? So we can see the trajectory of people. Like one of your team member today, like in few more minutes, we'll have a deal analysis session in the Infin8 community. One of your member, like who was not even having experience 2 3 months before in real estate, forget about asset class, he's now going to present on a commercial multifamily, like a full-fledged underwriting session and presenting it to people. So
So exciting.
it blows like Jason and my mind that what you guys are doing. And one thing I want to stress people is people are always looking for, guarantee. What is the guarantee? And Jason and I can immediately figure out that these people are not going where, because you know what, these are the people who are lacking confidence in themselves, and they are looking to make sure, because when we had conversation, to audience who are listening to this, so Jasmine, Harish, Jason, like we have never met Jasmine and Harish physically in person, but we are already connected because of course she did her due diligence, she went through the reference, but it was all the right mindsets, because that's why we call like-minded people, right? Because that's how you will start connecting. Like had she been doubting her actions or doubting the community, she would have not been where she is right now, right? So have the right
I gotta put
mindset and
one point out
attitude.
there though.
Yeah.
Even like when people say, okay, you gotta connect with other people, you gotta do JVs, doesn't make sense immediately. No, it doesn't. The first few sessions we had with our now team,
Yeah.
very interesting because we were
Yes.
trying to understand each other's mindset.
Yes.
Sometimes it sounded like we were having fights, but
Yes.
no, it was just we were trying to gel and then we gelled.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and it's like any team formation.
Any teamwork,
First
exactly.
form, you storm, you norm, and then you perform. So
Right.
I think we're
And
now
now we laugh about it.
Exactly. And that's the beauty, right? And not just, every team dynamics has that thing, right? But the best part is when you are only focusing on solution and solving, and so Jason and I also in real estate, we have so many bad experience. We have disastrous collab, and that's fine. You cannot stop. But unless we step out of our comfort zone, we will never know that, what is there out there, right?
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And for us, it's. I know you talked about guarantees, and there's no guarantees in any sort
Never.
of
Yeah.
investing, right? But the one thing that I can say, at least for our part, our guarantee is that we'll try our best. That's
Exactly.
the only
Right.
guarantee we can give you,
Yep.
right?
Yes.
And
Exactly.
that's going to be hopefully sufficient to quell your qualms, whatever they are.
Yeah.
That's all we can do. We can guarantee you that we'll do our best and we won't.
Best efforts.
And
Exactly.
realistically, that is the only thing in our hand. There's nothing else.
That's the only thing.
Oh.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
that's what we tell people, that, like I'm okay to go through 10 disastrous experience to meet a person like Jason, because I mean, if I wouldn't have gone out or he wouldn't have gone out, right? Like Jason and I, we didn't even meet before. We were part of a common community, and he probably searched in the community about me and did his own references. But even before we met each other, we had business. Not saying that to outside people, don't do your due diligence, do it. But there is a cost of overdoing of anything as well, right? So anything over is also backfiring, so just take a calculated call.
And another thing, someone I've noticed is that before the mindset was like, okay, we're gonna do it on our own and all that stuff. Now that we started meeting people, unless you actually go out and meet people or on social media or Zoom or whatever,
Yeah.
when you actually meet people, that's when you start realizing that there
Exactly.
are there. So
Yes.
the reason why I'm bringing this up is because you already know this, Suman. I am not very active on social media. She's
Yes.
the one who does it and she tags me along. So
Right.
that makes me active. But I just want to put it out there, people who are not doing this as a couple, they need
Yeah.
to be active on social media.
Active, exactly.
They have
Exactly.
to have that presence there.
You're like my partner in the same way I'm like Harish, right?
I just tag along with
started
wherever she goes.
Right.
Yeah, me too. I'm spending on Suman. Suman is a influencer, right? So.
And I'm the introvert in the family.
Awesome.
Oh, hey, really? Oh, oh man.
Apparently.
So mainly it's the strength, like complementing each other's like strength and weaknesses, and moving forward stronger as a team. And what is happening now, like we are, like Jason and I, now we are scaling to a different roles and responsibility. Now we are also able to pass on the opportunities to other people and helping them scale too, right? Giving them different
Absolutely.
direction. And
Yeah.
that's what, you need to start building and expanding your inner circle and start sharing value. And you mentioned about social media, and I know, we had a good interaction in the social media side. So Harish, like you mentioned that, you're not very active on social media, but still, if you have to give two advice to the audience, why do you feel social media plays an important role in the real estate side?
Well, for one, I'm not an expert on this at all,
Yeah,
but from my point of view, is that people get to know what you're doing. And
right,
unless people don't know what you're doing, why would they even talk to you or contact you regarding
right.
that?
Exactly. Absolutely. That's a good
And when
point.
you actually connect with people and your presence is there, so you start talking. I've spoken to so many guys who are in real estate, and there's so much exchange of knowledge out there. It's just amazing.
Right. And
Mhm.
And if
and
you're not active, then you're really missing out on that. Just
exactly.
that knowledge component itself.
Right. And I
Yeah.
will come to you, Jasmine Shotwell, because I know you have some amazing stories. And just to elaborate on Harish's point, you're absolutely right. Because if people don't know you, so people think social media is a replacement, like they're only debating about digital and in person. But the question is, both are accessible to you. So it's not replacement of one, it's just complementing each other. So social media, as Harish said, right, it's a good conversation starter. It's a good lead generation because if people don't know, like today, I posted about the few learnings that I had, and I had five people reaching out to me. We are discussing about funds, next opportunity, collaboration, or maybe future they are also looking for Infinite, right? So had I not posted that one content, I wouldn't have got these five and many more people who are seeing those things. So it's all about leverage. My time required to create the content is only 10 minutes, but look at how many people I can touch positively, right? And creating awareness, it helps in your brand building, collaboration, and capital raising too. And coming to you, Jasmine, like I know you have really scaled in a very different way. So, what were some of your achievements or some of the positive things you saw in the social media transformation journey?
Um, as I've said before, I'm sort of an introvert and I'm very private as a person. Like, I'm not very comfortable sharing about myself.
Yeah,
So there was that fear of going out into social media and saying, whatever I wanted to say about my journey. And I was like, well, who's going to listen to me? Who am I? Like, what do I know? There are people out there who know 10 times more than I do. Like, why would anyone even want to engage with me, right?
yes,
And then more importantly, it was getting into the habit of being able to do consistent postings, right?
yeah,
I do a post at one point and then I'd be like, oh, okay, whatever, 1 week later. And then I found that as I got more disciplined about it, as I got a lot of support from the Infinite community, the Infinite social media community, I was able to get some ideas. I was able to figure out how I wanted to make my brand on social media, if you will, right? Like the most
yeah,
important thing for me was I was like, I don't know what to talk about. I don't know what
yeah,
people want to hear. But then I realized that it wasn't about what people wanted to hear that I needed to put out there. It was just what I was doing. And
right,
put myself out there and tell people that this is what I'm doing. I'm not doing this to brag. I'm not doing
yes,
this to say, oh, look how great I am, because there's 10 people who are like way ahead in the game than I am. For
yeah,
me, it was a way to A, chronicle my journey, and
yeah,
B, sort of be supportive to people who are coming behind me. I
yes,
know when I was at that stage when I didn't know what a cap rate was, or I didn't know what the difference between a pro forma and an underwriting piece was. And
yeah,
I just wanted people out there to know that that's okay because we all go through those stages of development. So
yes,
that's the mindset I took when I went onto social media. So a lot of my social media is about real estate and a lot of educating. Sometimes I
yeah,
have stupid jokes thrown in there because I'm just
yeah,
that kind of person.
yeah,
But yeah, that's what I generally found. It's just putting yourself out there. And like when I started my social media journey, like I said, I'm a very private person. I had like what, a 1,500 people on my Facebook account. And as of today, like not even 9 months later, I'm at 1.5K and hopefully growing more
Wow,
soon.
Wow.
congratulations.
Not that
5.5K.
Yes.
that's, not that that's an indication of anything, but like it's just
Yeah.
validating to me that what I'm putting out there is finding an audience and it's
Value.
helping people
Right.
see what we're doing and helping them in their journey as well. So I just find that now it's second nature to get up in the morning, do a post, and be done with it, right? And it's like you had said right at the beginning, Saban, right now it's taking you like half an hour to put everything together, but now it's
Yeah.
just like 10 minutes, blah, blah, blah. Here we go.
Exactly. That's what happens, right? We always at Infinite tell people that, don't worry about the being perfect and then coming out your first post, or even if in the real estate, like people overthink so much and then they are not taking the step in the real estate
You
game
can
too.
ask me about that.
Yes,
I've only
please.
done one post on social media. It took me
Yeah.
like 45 minutes just to get it organized.
Yeah, yeah.
After that, she's the one who helped me put it online. I'm like, okay, I can't do this.
Right. And
Yeah,
that's why, you're complementing each other when you're working as a team. Like Jason has a different strategic roles. I have a different, and that's where the more you talk to people, you're coming on together. It helps win you as a team, right?
yeah.
So I think
I just wanted to
yeah,
ask though, sorry, just to interrupt. I need
yeah,
to know this though. We talked about Jasmine, you being an introvert, and being an introvert and extrovert is all about where you get your energy from, right?
That's right.
The surroundings and all that. So I'm curious to know, as an introvert, because I am also an introvert too, as well. When you post, and you get responses? I mean, 1.5K, that's a lot of people. That's amazing growth.
yeah,
Do you find you're getting energy from that? Like,
It makes me feel good, yes.
yeah,
yeah,
And it prompts me to do something more. Like I spoke to someone about this, and looking at the statistics and the demographics and all the
yeah,
technical stuff that comes with going
yeah,
on social media. And,
yeah,
and I find that there's a certain subset of people that are engaged, that want to learn more, and that prompts me to put out more of similar kind of social media posts in the same vein. And I find that that's kind of organically driving where my social media is going. Really, it's the response coming in. It makes me feel really good. Like if you had talked to me like last February, I would have laughed you out of the room if you had said that I was doing a post, every 2 days or every day, and I
yeah,
have a following of 1.5. I mean, to me, that's enormous.
yeah.
You know,
And the
yeah,
best part is, think of it that now as you are more frequent, your time to deliver that output of content is reducing.
yeah,
And as your followers are increasing, your time doesn't change, but now you are able to positively impact
yeah.
more people. So
Yeah,
it
it's
positively
all
impacts your
about
business.
increasing your circle of influence, right? Like,
Exactly.
and that's what I find is really great, because I mean, I may not have had like people reaching out to me on every post, but I've had people reach out to me and say, "Hey, you know what? We're doing this life thing the same way. Let's get together and talk about it." And some
Yeah.
really good discussions have come of those. I now know people on the other side of Canada, on the eastern coast, on the west coast, in the prairies, and I didn't know these people like a year ago, and now I'm
Exactly.
familiar with them. I'm familiar with what they do, what they are, what kind of people they are. So for
Yeah.
me, the people person thing has been really, really great in the community and on social media, just because it's just opened my horizons a lot.
Right. And I think that's where I feel that like I've seen you and Harish from the Infinite social media and now into Infinite real estate too, like capital mentorship, is that you took the steps, maybe not the most perfect one, but you were moving forward. Like whatever, we used to have the action items, you used to go through that and then ask questions and improvise on there. That is most important thing. So people, those who are listening to this amazing journey of Jasmine and Harish, right, definitely reach out to them. But what you have to learn from their journey is that they are still learning no matter where we are in the stage. But what they are doing consistently amazing is overcoming their mindset fears, taking help of the community and reaching out to the people, in order to have the solution, right? So what will be the final, two things, one maybe Harish, you can share to people who are introvert, want to get inside the real estate game, or they're stuck somewhere, what will be one tip from your side?
Well, honestly, stop sitting and thinking about it. Just start doing it. Because
Right.
no matter how many courses you do, if you don't actually get into it, you're not going to be able to move forward. Because you can sit and look at tens of deals, but you don't actually get your hands dirty, you're not going to really figure out. But
Exactly.
before I say anything else, I do want to say one thing. My energy levels have gone up a lot more after I actually joined the Infin8 group, thanks to the two of you. Just because of the different perspectives and the energy that you guys bring. And
Amazing.
I really want to thank you guys for that, because especially like all those conversations about social media with someone, and then all these other conversations with you, Jason, about mindset and how to discuss things with people and all that stuff. It's been the biggest boost for me.
Amazing. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you so
thank
much
you
for
for that.
sharing. And Jasmine, from you, what will be the tips based on your transformational journey to the people who are stuck in the journey?
I have a lot of points, but I think the most important one for me is you need to invest in yourself.
Yeah.
You can learn everything from the University of YouTube, but it'll only take you so far. And
Yeah.
what's really important, more than recordings and information and knowledge that you get from webinars and YouTube, is having the support system, is having that safety net. I know that tomorrow, if I have a question or if I'm unsure about anything, I can pick up the phone, call you guys and say, hey guys, please help me out because I'm really stuck here. And that empowers me to go
Yeah.
forward and do something, because I know you guys have my back. I know the whole Infin8 community has my back. So for
Awesome.
me, that is what is really important. Get yourself into the right community, get yourself into the right mindset, and you'll still have the fear. I'm still as fearful now as I was a year ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
Work through the
Yes. Amazing.
Wanted to ask because we never got to touch upon it as much.
It's more relaxed and you know how to deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to ask before we finish, because I know we're almost out of time, but I need to ask this, that we started the conversation around your origin story. I want to circle all the way back and put a bow tie on this, which is, you started about your parents, both of you, with your backgrounds, with your families having experience in real estate. And then Jasmine, you talked about how your family, now in retirement, they're able to fund their retirement, right, through real estate. But for you guys, what is your life, we call it life by design, that you're trying to get to? What sort of life are you trying to build towards for you guys? Are you looking to emulate like your parents, right, for retirement? Are you trying to do something different? Anything you can share with us?
So we have a couple of things we'd like to get out of this journey. I think retirement and a recent retirement is something we're looking forward to. So we can definitely emulate my parents on that. The other thing is I want to plant seeds so that the tree that grows tomorrow is going to shelter my kids and anyone else who comes into their circle. So
Yeah.
for me, it's literally just planting those seeds, watering them, being a custodian of that, letting it grow, and letting it leave a legacy to our kids. That's the other thing for us. If there's anything left over, we'd love to travel all over the world. It's something we've sort of put on the back burner for now because of life getting in the way. But once we have this capacity to do it, the goal will be to try and cut down on our 9-to-5 jobs and perhaps go to part-time jobs, or take summers off or something of that sort and just travel. That's
don't
goal.
plan to wait till 65 to then retire and enjoy. You
Yeah,
can't really enjoy much at 65.
Yeah, and if you haven't been doing something all your life, you're not going to magically start doing it at the day you turn 65,
exactly.
right? So
would
we want
say-
to get there and do that when we can, which is now or soonish.
Amazing. I was going to say it's hard to climb Mount Kilimanjaro or Machu Picchu at 65.
Exactly.
Those are some
Especially
of
if you've not even climbed like 100 steps before that.
Yes.
But I just want to leave it to say that, why wait? One of the things we promote is real estate trips, right? Integrating it into your life. And if you're comfortable, hundreds and thousands of miles away to invest in Edmonton where you haven't been to, why not travel to a destination and look at real estate there as well, which is something that Sue and I are already doing in 3 other countries, right? So, I'll leave it at that. But congratulations, guys. It's an amazing story. We look forward to hearing maybe Suman, maybe a year or two, get an update and see where you guys are at, because you'd be surprised how fast you're going to get to your goals, guys. So.
Yes.
Sure thing.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
much for having us. This was wonderful. Thank you.
Most welcome, and thanks for being part of Infin8, and thank you so much for being on the podcast.
No worries.
Thank you.
Guys.